Welcome back to another episode of the Conquer Cast. Question for you.
Answer.
When all is said and done, how do you feel like you'll measure your life? All right, welcome back to an episode of the Conquer Cast that's being done for the second time. I've never announced anything that way, but I'm here with Christian from Uncharted Supply Co., founder, CEO, and let me explain really quick. How long ago was that?
I think it was like July 2nd.
Because it's been some time.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Oh, man. So July 2nd, had Christian in. We had an awesome podcast. The interview was great. I do remember, this is the first time this has ever happened. We're on, I don't know, we've been doing this for over a year now, so we're on episode 60-something. I can't remember where you were at in that, but after the podcast was done, I didn't have anyone. Now I have Spencer here, that he's in the room, he watches the cameras, he makes sure that everything is going well. The lighting's so much better now, so you'll be able to enjoy looking at Christian a little more. And but at the time, I didn't have anyone sitting in the room. It was just like I was always terrified if the cameras made a noise or if something was like, I hope they're still recording, because I couldn't even see. Like I can look over at least at this and that one and see a red.
I do see red lights this time, yeah.
But the cameras I had, there was nothing to show. And so everything went well. Everything did record or was recording. But if you remember after, I said something like, let's take a photo, let's take a selfie. And I went and I was like, but let me turn on the lights. And I turned on the lights and I turned off all this ambient lighting. And to do that, I just like flicked the power strip. But I hadn't hit record. I hadn't stopped recording on the cameras. So when I hit the power strip, the cameras turned off. And in that moment, I don't know if I don't think I even said anything, but I was like, oh crap. So we took the selfie, we did all that. And then I thought, okay, as soon as Christian's gone, I've got to check this. And I started to freak out a little bit. And I couldn't find, and I'm not good with the cameras anyways. So I couldn't tell if it had recorded or not. I started taking pictures of the screen, sending it to our videographer at the time, and just said, hey, is there something recorded here, or is it like, did I mess up? And she's like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, and I was ChatGPT, and does it just record everything, and when it stops, it records
like
what it had, like an autosave? The cameras, I don't know. Do these cameras do that? Do they autosave? Because the ones that we had do not. So they didn't autosave. The videographer was like scrubbing all these cards. We had multiple cards, so she was going through it trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think we lost it. And it was such a good podcast. I was like, I hope we can repeat that. We'll be able to repeat it because it's all on you. I didn't really do a lot of talking. I just needed.
I just remember like it was like September or something.
You're like,
and
hey.
I texted you. I'm like, did I say something? Like that hasn't come out yet. And you were like,
At the time, we were still like We're probably like 4 weeks out on our podcast now with what we have in the can. But at that time, we were probably 8 weeks out. So I was like trying to figure out, was there something we can do? Is there something? And anyways, we couldn't find it out. So when you reached out, I was like, oh man, you won't believe what happened.
It's all good.
And it was all on me. I turned everything off before I stopped recording. And so anyways, we're back here together.
The life of an entrepreneur, you know, just gotta keep marching ahead.
We've gone up in the world though. We have Spencer here. He's making everything look good, record good, making sure, and no pressure, Spencer, but this one cannot be lost. Okay. Anyways, thanks for making some time. This is a busy week. Our brands have the Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City at the Salt Palace. We'll both be down there. We've got the Conquer Hunger event that we're both sponsoring as well, and showing a little film from our excursion to South Africa, which was awesome. So
it was.
So yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive into Uncharted.
Sure.
A little bit. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your music experience traveling overseas. I know we did that last time.
Yeah.
Anything else that comes up? I know there's been a few changes in your life over the last few months since we met. I mean, some people, they're animals. They're their dogs and are definitely part of their lives, and you've gone through that with the passing of your dog. And, and we were just talking about a good friend, Beto, who came through for you. I want to hear about good friends in your life and and how that's helped you conquer more throughout the years. But
time marches on, right? There's always something.
So Uncharted.
I can start with Uncharted. We've been around, I think, 8 years-ish at this point. So my background, I grew up on a dairy farm in northern Wisconsin. And my parents are, they're helpers. They like to dig into everything. They're on every board and always showing up. And, when there were snowstorms, we'd put plows on tractors and plow out the neighborhood. And, I remember tornadoes going through neighboring towns. We'd take chainsaws and tractors and chains and gas and go over there and cut people out. It's just what we did, awesome. Right? And it's just also a community. You know everybody. You know everybody and their grandpa and their great grandpa, and so there's that sense of community there. And it was just very normal to me. I didn't think of it as like heroic or going above and beyond. It's just what you did. Yeah. And long story short, short story long. I ended up going to college at Wisconsin, Madison, spent 4 years there, 5 years actually. I got a couple degrees.
What were your degrees in?
Business management and communications.
Okay. Makes sense.
And then I got a degree from the Berklee School of Music. I was playing in a kind of just a band for fun. That ended up turning into, I always said I would stay with it as long as it kept growing, and it just kind of kept growing. We ended up doing 3 albums. And
what'd you do in the band?
I sang and play guitar.
So maybe a little song on this podcast this time that we didn't get last time?
Maybe not, but if you're a detective enough, you can find it out there on Spotify or iTunes or whatever. But we ended up moving to Minneapolis, and we used to, like, our drummer and our keyboard player were in the New Power Generation with Prince, and we shared a practice space with Soul Asylum, and we were writing songs with Phil Solem, who is the Rembrandts, who's like the Friends theme song, I'll Be There For You. Like that was our circle. Cool. And we started playing all over the country and traveling around. And we were doing a showcase at South by Southwest, which is a big music festival in Austin. And we got approached by some dudes with high and tights that asked if we'd want to go play for the troops overseas. And then that turned into, for me personally, 39 trips over to Iraq. It started with my band going over. Wow. We played 150 shows. Wow. So we'd do 3 or 4 shows a day. We'd wake up in the morning, get on Blackhawks, and we called it fob hopping. You'd go to forward operating bases, one to another. Wow. But what we figured out, and I have to give my brother a lot of credit here, is we figured out how to get a PA system into a Blackhawk helicopter. Huh. So while usually these bands would go over and have huge setups, and they'd have to go to the big bases where there were landing strips and infrastructure, we could now just take a group and jump from all these little bases where they actually really needed it, because these guys they were eating out of coolers and they weren't seeing a lot of people. Communication was sparse. And so it was more needed, but it was kind of risky. Yeah.
When was this?
Oh man, 2008-ish, let's call it, for about 6 or 7 years, 8 years around there. We did a thing called Bikes Over Baghdad, where we took over a bunch of X Games BMX guys. We build skate parks, do shows, and then leave the bikes and the ramps for the guys to ride. We did comedians. Wow. We'd take, I remember taking Hoobastank over, the Pussycat Dolls, the Spin Doctors, really? Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, some rappers. So it went from us playing to what else you got? Wow. But it was, and I always want to be clear, I was not in the military. I always joke that I was a rodeo clown, not a cowboy. We were kind of there, but definitely different. Yeah. But had a lot of crazy life experiences. And how that all ties in is, it was my responsibility to make sure that these groups were safe when we go over there. And a lot of times you'd fly out to these FOBs and maybe something would pop off and you couldn't fly out because it was too dangerous. So now you're stuck for 2 days and they don't have any extra stuff for you. So I was always thinking about preparedness and planning and how do I take care of these people? And, that was built on top of a family that was helpers growing up. Yep. And I did a lot of things in between there. I sold a hard apple cider company to Miller Coors, did some marketing for brands like GoPro and Harley Davidson, and ended up moving to Southern California for a job. And it just struck me that it was, and this isn't a derogatory to people that live out there, but it was just a different way of life. you don't have those communities that are generational, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of transient types. You don't know your neighbors, so you don't look out for them. You don't care about them because you don't even know their name, right? And everybody's on top of each other. And being a little more technologically probably advanced out there than on a farm in Wisconsin, people just assume that AAA, Amazon Prime, Uber, like all those things are going to solve your problems.
It's interesting.
And that works until it doesn't, right?
Yeah. With how close everyone is in proximity, people there probably feel at a distant.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when it would rain, people would lock their door. I mean, it was every man for themselves. That was the vibe. It wasn't, are you okay? How's it going? And that just really hit me because I was used to something completely opposite. Yeah. So at the same time, my mom is a bit of a worrier, and she's like, what are you going to do if there's an earthquake? Like, you're all by yourself. And I said, okay, Mom, I'll get an earthquake kit. I'll make sure. And I started going to military surplus stores and looking around, and everything was junk. You know, it was like whatever they couldn't sell in a JanSport backpack. Yeah. Like I remember one had a blow dart gun with 3 darts. I'm like, what is this? Like Attack of the Squirrels? You get one practice shot? Like what is this survival situation where like 3 blow darts are going to save you? So I was, you know, I didn't like the job I was in out there. I was thinking about what was next. I was kind of at this point in my life where I'm like, I want to build my thing. I used to sneak into outdoor retail show. I love the outdoor space, but I couldn't find a gap. You know, everybody was, there's 100,000 Gore-Tex jackets, right? Like where's the angle? And all this just kind of dovetailed together. And I'm like, man, nobody's really thinking about how to prepare people in an emergency. And I actually have a ton of experience around this with growing up the way I did and going overseas as many times as I did. And so I just started with a 72-hour kit and put it on a crowdfunding campaign. I set a bunch of records. I literally had this like 800 square foot apartment in Marina del Rey at the time. I had to rent 2 storage spaces that took a half hour to get to, even though it was 6 blocks away because of traffic, right? Wow. And I thought I'd sell a couple hundred units. I sold a couple thousand.
How did you do that? Is it like,
it was just
did you have an audience that you were going out with?
No, I really didn't, but I had a handful of, like I talked about the BMX guys earlier. Yeah. One of the guys that helped me early on is a guy named Mike Escamilla. He's been the host of GoPro games. He was on LA Inc. He was a BMX guy, and he's friends with the Tony Hawks and all those guys, right? So he got those guys to talk a little bit. I think every little bit helped, and some groundswell happened. Wow. And we sold a ton. And I literally remember my fingers bleeding making kits because I had promised a delivery date, and I had 10 times as many as I thought I was going to have to build. That's so cool. So fun, but stressful, and we were off to the races. Yeah. I knew I wanted to get out of California. It's not a very entrepreneur-friendly state, and I'd always wanted to live in the mountains. Yeah. I love hunting. I love skiing. I love fishing, mountain biking. And so Park City was the most affordable. I knew Billy DeMong and Kalen Richardson, Billy I'd taken on an Iraq trip, and Kalen I knew from Minneapolis. I'd met them both twice. And that was the only people I knew here. I flew at one time. I looked at like 15 houses in a day. I put an offer on one. Set up the office in the basement, moved out, and just like got to work.
That's cool. Is that where you've been, up in Park City?
Yeah, that's where I've been until like last year.
Yeah, I remember last time chatting with you, Billy DeMong. He and I spoke at an event together a couple years ago, and I'd love to have him on the podcast at some point. I loved hearing his story. He's a great dude. Yeah. And he's, for those who don't know, Nordic Combined, so that's cross country and ski jumping. Yeah. And he got a gold medal and I think a silver. He's got a couple medals, but like. He's one of my good like snowmobiling buddies and backcountry ski buddies. And I will tell you, pound for pound, I don't know anybody that's like that strong and that skinny, right? Like I'm out there trying to dig a snowmobile out, and I swear he's stronger than I am, and he probably weighs 60 pounds less. Like, dang, he's just, it makes you understand why he was as accomplished as he was. Like, he's just an animal. It's wild. Cool. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what brought you to Utah then.
That's what brought me here. I didn't have any ties, and that's how the company started, you know, and there's been a long journey since then. It's been 7 or 8 years. I would say we started with emergency type products. Now that's still important, but we also
72-hour being the first and kind of
like survival gear. Yeah. Now we build pack rafts, duffel bags, first aid kits, and this year we got into Costco. We're in Bass Pro, Cabela's. This coming year, we're in all the West Marines, Walmart. Things are starting to grow, and awesome. It's a battle every single day, obviously. But really proud of the progress we've made, despite a lot of headwinds, a lot of unexpected hurdles we had to overcome with bad partners and COVID and just tariffs and everything, right?
Yeah.
So,
How are the tariffs still impacting
we're fine
you?
now. For a few months there, it was, I mean, it's, he slaps 130% tariff on it. Nobody has 130% margin.
Right.
So you're losing money on every sale.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. And, people, look, I'm a proud American. I'm sure you are too. I'd love to make things in the U.S. if I could. I can tell you that in 8 years, I haven't found a single factory in the U.S. that makes the materials we need and does the hypersonic welding that we need at the quality we need. It wasn't my decision to go overseas. That was something that was decided 50 years ago, right?
That's true.
And so it's just, it puts us in a tough position now. And we do kit everything here, and we make some things here, we buy some things here, and I'm always trying to get there more. But, I think for a lot of people listening to this, I don't know if everybody fully understands. It's not like we have a decision.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I can just come to the US and maybe it costs me $1 more. It's like not even close. Like it would be 6 or 7 times more expensive to make something in the US if I could find somebody that could build it.
Wow.
Which I can't. So for companies like us, that's hard, right? But, I think my job is to keep the lights on every day and keep growing. And that's what I get up every day and try to do.
What's been the most difficult thing building from that first 72-hour kit till now, 8 years later? What has been maybe something that surprised you that was like, wow, I wasn't expecting to have to tackle this?
I always say our biggest competitor is apathy. So the thing that I underestimated was, like, I can tell you that billion-dollar natural disasters have grown 15% year over year since 1980. If that was a business, you'd invest in it, right?
Yep.
Like that's a great fund to put some money in. And you can see it. I mean, just look at the news, right?
Yep.
But our generation, the previous generation, it's been the easiest time in the history of humanity.
Yeah.
People are pretty well taken care of and safe, and there's always a net. And so what I didn't realize was how many people would be like, no, I mean, I definitely need this, but not today. And I think, people were also used to buying a $20 box of Band-Aids and calling it good. So I always kind of go back to like a Yeti analogy. It's like people used to buy coolers. They didn't work very well. They broke. You didn't like buying them. And now people wear Yeti baseball caps to country music concerts, right? And so we're trying to also get people to invest in a premium experience that actually works and is going to work for a long time. And, when you're the only brand doing that, it's a lot of time and money to educate. Yeah. And I think that's been the thing I didn't expect. I was just like, man, this is a wide open space. The addressable market's huge. Everybody needs it. This is going to crush. And it's up and down. COVID hits, we're the hottest girl at the dance, right? But if it's 75 and sunny, people aren't feeling that exposed. Yeah. And so that's what you have to do.
Human behavior is what you're dealing with then, right? And
human behavior.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting for you to say that, but that would be, I mean, even in the supplement space, our biggest hurdle coming into this was an education process, because you're going after an audience that had not really been served with these types of products. They weren't typically shopping in a GNC or, following certain fitness fads or anything. And so we're introducing certain things to them for the first time. 70% of our clients in the first few years were trying supplements for the first time in their lives.
Wow.
So education was the hurdle as well.
So what was the biggest needle for education on you? Was it getting a celebrity type to talk about it? Was it ads?
Yeah, a little bit, but sometimes the celebrities, they're in such a groove with what they do, so you only get so much airtime with them, as well.
Right.
So it was us boots on the ground out with people, getting the product into their mouths, like seeding product as much as possible so that they could first taste and then feel the difference. And had it tasted bad when they first put it in their mouth,
they're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And so we really focused on how could we deliver an experience. People want experience in life, right?
Yeah.
And I think our audience, the hunting audience, they love an experience. It's what hunting is all about. It's like, it's igniting all of our emotions and our feelings. And when we're out hunting, like just everything's in, at least for me, in overdrive. All of my senses come alive. And so if we could help do that with a product as well that was tied to a brand that like supported their passion. And so being out with people, just a lot of guerrilla marketing, a lot of sampling, seeding product, was probably the best thing we ever did. And then getting people to talk about it, and then doing some giveaways that got them excited about, wow, I could also, try this product, but then be a part of living some adventure that I never would have before. And then on the back end, we attach our Operation Conquer Hunger. And that's never an acquisition tool necessarily. People don't, because there's apathy. There's also, people are selfish. They're going to buy first for themselves. They're not going to buy because necessarily this, some people might, but this is going to help someone. Yeah. It has to help me first. And then the fact that it helps me and helps someone else, that'll keep me around. Yeah. So it's more of a retention, tool at that point. But the education process was difficult, and if they didn't like the taste, they wouldn't even give you the time to educate them on the product. And so we had to give them an experience. And you don't sample everything. You sample maybe the product that would taste good and something that would make them feel different, some nootropics or some caffeine, or, and then they're like, okay, I can actually feel this, some beta alanine, and my skin's tingling, I
remember when, I'm aging myself, but I remember when Red Bull came out. I was actually in Scotland the first time I had Red Bull. Okay. But I remember thinking, what an easy product to market. Yeah. Because like pretty low cost of sample. Yeah. And the first time you had a Red Bull, you're like, whoa. Yep. So like, I got to go break people's arms and give them like bandages to do the sampling.
You're trying to, how much of it is like, do you have to tap into fear a little bit? Like, hey, like what could go wrong? And what if you weren't prepared? Is that like...
So fear is probably the number one thing that gets people to react. I don't use it. Yeah. I really think that fear mongering is a short-sighted kind of, it's not who I want to be in this world.
I love that. Yeah.
I always tell people like, look, everybody loves like a good Marvel movie. They like the heroes. They like people that save the day. And our kind of communication has always been hero speak. Like, be your own hero. Like, help other people. Like, be the person that people can count on. And I'm sure we could probably crank up the fear mongering and drive some sales that way, but I just, that's not who I want to be in the world. And so I'd rather take the hard path and do it the way I think is more honorable than the other side. Because there are a lot of brands out there, brands you and I know, that they just push on that. And I think scaring somebody with a sucking chest wound and you better buy this first aid kit just feels a little like aggressive to me.
No, I love that you're instilling confidence in whatever it may come in their life because they are prepared, like I'd rather be on that side of it where, hey, working with us, there's a level of confidence to face the future. And I think even in the supplement side, it's like the same, like prepare yourself for whatever's to come, Right. And that's not a scary thing. That's a confidence. It adds courage. It gives you an ability in life to just be comfortable with what may come your way in the future, confident in your ability to attack it.
I mean, that ties in. We have a thing we created called 4 pillars, and it's community, resources, resourcefulness, and then mental and physical fitness. Cool. If I told people buy this and you're good to go, I'd be a liar, right? Yeah. Because if you can't walk a mile, you've got some other problems we need to solve for first. Sure. So, back to your point, that's why I love what you guys do, because I do really believe that, I was up at 5 this morning in the gym and I'm like, I want to be better. I want to be stronger. I want to be the guy that if something goes sideways, I can throw somebody over my shoulder and get them out of there. Yeah. And so there's a lot to it, right? Yeah, that's cool. It's product, it's understanding your community, it's understanding the skills you need, it's being an animal. Yeah. And not freaking out mentally when something goes sideways. Yeah,
that's cool. Has there been a product of yours that surprised you as far as like the level of adoption or success with it?
The challenge with our products is it's not something you buy and then you go use that day, right? You don't buy a first aid kit and then go home and play with it. Yeah. The products that have, like we have a jump starter called the Zeus Air, which I know you said we had it over in Africa.
I've used it since you gave me one on it.
Everybody does.
I've used it a few times and it's come in super handy.
Yeah. And so that's my point is like people that have dead batteries or flat tires, that happens a lot more than a broken bone or some kind of gash you have to plug up. Right. Yeah. And I think, that's why that one does so well, because there's a lot of those types of products out there. As I dug into it when we started, a lot of them don't work.
Yeah.
People have them and then it's like, oh, time to use this thing. Battery's dead, doesn't connect for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We made sure ours work, and that's the feedback we get all the time.
Yep.
It's like, holy cow. I came out of the woods hunting. It was cold. It was dark. I didn't have cell service. I was 5 miles from cell service. I left a dome light on. My truck was dead.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, I was back on the road versus having to hike 5 miles to get cell service and then call somebody and wait and freeze all night.
Yeah.
And when you have that kind of an experience with a product, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
So
it is super powerful. And I would say, like, if you're a husband or father, if you've had even kids at home, like, you could have it just sitting in your garage. I would say have one in your car too. But like, I can't tell you how many times throughout my kids' childhood, I'm like trying to find a pump to pump up a ball, you know? So utilize it for that, utilize it for the bikes. But then in the moment, I've got daughters and a wife, like, I don't want them to be stranded somewhere if they need something like that, you know? Right. And so that maybe is tapping into my own fears. But it's more of like hey, I want you guys to be prepared and confident. If this happens, you're going to be okay. I don't, you know, they're traveling down to St. George or something. They're on a road that doesn't have a lot of service, you know, and something happens for whatever reason. You don't have to approach
some sketchy guy and ask for something. You can just take care of it yourself and move on. Yeah.
So we were parked at the brand new Maverick a few months back, and my wife's SUV, after we got gas, for what, I don't even know what happened. It just wouldn't start, you know. She needed a new battery. Yeah. But I had the Zeus. We got it going. And then we used it the next day to get it going again so that she could get in to get the battery. And it was on her way down to St. George, actually. And she got the battery replaced and then had that with her just in case anything else, you know. But came in handy there. And then we've got a car right now who has a slow leak in one of the tires, and I've just been slow to get it in and get fixed. So you pull out the Zeus and you pump it up every once in a while. We're good for a few days, and then so it's I've
had the same thing. It's like, oh, I can't get in the tire shop for 2 weeks, and you're at work all day, and you come out and your tire's flat. So like I was doing the same thing, just fill the tire up, go home, come back. Yeah, it's convenience for sure. Yeah.
So well done on that. It's really, really awesome. What other products are you excited? I know you've got the first aid kit. Are those are those to carry in a pack, in a car? Like, where do most people utilize those?
We build a lot of different ones.
Okay.
The one I'd love to talk about here, probably that's most applicable to this audience, it's called the Possibles pouch. Okay. So you know John Barklow. We had a product called the Triage Kit that we've sold for a long time. And the idea behind that was, you know, the best camera is the one in your hand, right? People don't want to carry a big bulky first aid kit if they're going for a trail run or a mountain bike ride or going scouting. You want to be light, you want to be unencumbered, you want to enjoy your thing, but things can happen. Yeah. And so we did a lot of work around that Triage Kit, which is so small, it'll fit in your pocket. It weighs less than an iPhone, and it's first aid and gear repair. So you've got blister gels and baling wire and duct tape and zip ties and bandages and all this stuff, right? Yeah. Like my dog that has since passed away, we were in the backcountry skiing a few years ago, and a skier ran into him and he was gushing blood, and I was able to, stop the bleeding and make a makeshift tourniquet.
A skier ran into your dog?
Well, my dog jumped in front of him. Okay. It's really not, he's a friend of mine. Okay. Really not his fault. Okay. We were just kind of going in groups to mitigate any avalanche issues, so it wasn't all of us.
Does your dog just run through the snow?
Oh yeah, man. I got tons of.
What kind of dog?
He's a Swiss mountain dog.
Yeah.
He's like 125 pounds, big dog, and his favorite thing is go ski touring. Like we'd go every morning. So
is he the logo of your company, Uncharted, what is the logo?
So the logo is a St. Bernard.
Okay.
So getting off topic here, but
sorry.
No, it's all good. But the St. Bernard was bred by monks in the Bernard Pass, and it was bred because it had an incredible nose. It could dig like crazy, and it was super resilient when it came to like bad weather. And people traveling between those countries up there would take this pass and often get caught in crazy storms. And they would send these St. Bernards out on the pass to check and see if there were people that were stuck, and they would dig them out and take them back to the monastery and warm them up and let them go. So I love the idea of like a warm, trusted dog that just goes out and helps and then sits by the fire until you need him again. Yeah. And that was the idea. Now, I've seen Beethoven. I didn't want to pet St. Bernard. Yeah. And the Swiss Mountain Dog is actually what the Bernard was bred from, but it's half the size, more athletic, doesn't shed, doesn't drool. I mean, sheds a little. Huh? It sheds a little. It's not bad. Wow. Doesn't drool, and it's just like a much more manageable size.
Cool. That's awesome.
So yeah,
So he got hit by one of your friends skiing?
Yeah, cut his forearm and just spraying blood. And so, shame on me that day. For some reason, I didn't have a tourniquet. I always do. But I used a pine stick, duct tape, gauze, zip ties, and I was able to make a tourniquet, put him on my shoulders, ski him down to the snowmobile.
Wow.
Got him to the vet, and the vet came out later. He's like, I don't know how you did it, man, but like 5 more minutes, he wouldn't have made it.
No way.
He still was continuing to lose blood, but I was able to slow it enough. And it was a long process getting him back. I mean, we were in the middle of nowhere. And so like my point being, that little triage kit's been one of my favorites forever because it's inexpensive, super usable. Don't even know you got it on you. Barklow came up to me at a Total Archery event, said, "Hey, this is my favorite first aid kit I've ever seen on the market. Like, you guys nailed it." And I was like, "Thank you."
That's cool.
Barklow,
coming from him too, a product guy.
Yeah. So guys that don't know, 20 years, he was the cold weather warfare and survival trainer for all the special forces up in Alaska.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's what he did for 20 years. And now he's been head of product at Sitka. I think he has a new role now, but a guy that knows product, knows survival, knows all that. Like he's like, I would say he's the master splinter,
Wow.
like,
yeah, the master.
And I was always kind of nervous what he'd think of us because a guy like that, and he's just like, I love it. It's the best product I've seen.
Cool.
And so we got to know each other, and I said, "Hey man, like, you keep talking about possibles pouches." That's kind of his talk. He's like, "Have a possibles pouch." And he always used our triage kit as an example, plus other stuff. I'm like, why don't we build a slightly bigger one that checks all the boxes? So we did that. It's been crushing. It's super lightweight, but it's like a mini survival kit that's under $100 that, will fit in your jacket, like in your chest pocket of your jacket. And it will.
So perfect to throw in a pack and have.
Yes. Yeah. It's awesome. And, if you're at Western Hunt, I guess this will be passed by then, but, for the hunter, for the backcountry explorer, it's a lot of bang for your buck and for the size. And I'm really excited about that product.
We'll have to make a post about this, even though this podcast will go live after. We'll make a post and send people your way.
Sweet. That'd be awesome.
So, that's amazing. That's really cool. Are you still working with him? Did he like collab on that development with you, or?
I mean, it's like he's got his signature on the front. We made it like the John Barklow signature kit, and. John, we keep talking about doing more stuff. Yeah. We're kicking around a lot of ideas. We're all, busy, and there's product cycles, but I think we'll do more stuff together. But this was just a layup. He's out there giving talks on how to survive in the backcountry and what to do, and nobody was building the right kit. Yeah. So let's make it and make it great. And that's what we
awesome. Did. Good stuff. What anything on the horizon that you want to share with us, or what are you excited
like new product stuff,
or new products for the company, or what?
It's been really fun to start getting into these big boxes. We got into 300 and some Costco's this year.
That's huge.
It was big, right? It's like over 100,000 first aid kits.
Wow.
And so for me, it's just been really fun to get texts from people that are walking through Costco and didn't realize we were there. That was a big gamble, and it's going pretty well. I've been excited about that. I'm excited about some partnerships we have coming. We actually just added to our board a guy named Brock, who is the head of FEMA for several years.
Wow.
And he was appointed by President Trump. And the way that happened is he reached out to Trevor on LinkedIn,
really?
Trevor on my team, Trevor Stewart, and just said, I'm a customer. I love you guys' stuff.
Jeez.
I want to help. And so he's been already just really helpful on how to think about things, about opportunities with, FEMA type stuff. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I think I want to keep empowering families and individuals, but at the same time, my goal was to make the world a safer place. And that takes a lot of reach and a lot of, a lot of connections and a lot of opportunities like that. And I think he's going to be really helpful. So that's a pretty exciting thing we have coming. We did launch a bunch of new products at the end of last year, 7 or 8. We have a new backpack that's just awesome.
Really? Tell us about the details on that.
So it's the bag that we've always carried our survival kits in, but I wanted to build a bag that people would use backcountry skiing or snowmobiling or maybe scouting or just walking around Manhattan, go between whatever it is. Like, I wanted to make a cool backpack. So we took kind of the silhouette of what we originally had. We made a better frame on it. It carries more weight. There's load retention straps. It's got an air valve, so you can fill it with air if you want to float it or protect what's inside. You can compress it down if you want to save space. It's got a bunch of straps on the sides. So you could put skis or a rifle or a bow on it.
Cool.
The back pocket that we've always had on our packs now is separate from the actual backpack, and you can use that to like stuff a puffy in there really quick. So if you're doing a quick layer change, don't want to open the whole pack up. There's just a ton of things. The hip straps tuck into the bag so they don't flop around. We have a hydration pack that comes down the shoulder strap, which insulates it so it doesn't freeze. I just took a lot of the things I loved about other packs out there and a lot of the things I didn't like about ours and tried to build a better one. So
that's awesome.
that's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff we've been doing, man. We've been busy. Yeah.
Is that where you spend a lot of your time, is kind of like tinkering with things until you get it? And then, or
I would say it goes in spurts.
Yeah.
Something like a new backpack is kind of a long exercise. We
Yeah.
worked on it for quite a while. Backpacks are hard, and wanted to get it right. The other thing that happens though a lot is like we're building a kit for Polaris, 2 kits for Polaris right now. One's for snowmobile, one's for UTV. And it's like, okay, so how much space should we allocate for this? Where's it going to ride? How does it fit? All these things, right? This is going to fit inside the Brandt tunnel bag that all the dealers told me that like 8 out of 10 snowmobiles that leave have one of those on them.
Oh, really?
And so, that's a pretty good addressable market. Yeah. It fits inside. What goes in it? I've snowmobiled my whole life. So, but what's easy is we've already got the materials. We've already got the general shape. We've got the pockets. So now it's like making it a different shape, adding some attachment points so it fits in, figuring out how to put the right pieces in. And it's not like you're starting over the whole new product. Yeah. You have kind of a base to work from, right, so we can iterate really fast, which is exciting.
Oh, that's cool. And I love how all these products just give you, more confidence in the passion that you're doing. If circumstances arises that you need these, you have that sense of security or confidence. How are you instilling in your community and like the fitness side of things and the preparation with your health and everything? Is that something you guys are approaching and educating on right now, or?
Education is something I would like to do more of in the future.
Yeah.
Obviously curriculum and all that stuff takes a lot of work to do it right.
Tons, yeah.
There's a lot of companies that kind of come and go because they spool it up and then they can't maintain it. And I just don't want to go down that path. But I've always said that survival and like outdoor adventure are basically the same things. It's just that one happens to you and one you choose to do.
Okay.
And so what we are always trying to show, like if you go to our social media and whatnot, we're trying to show the adventurous side of things.
Yeah.
We're trying to encourage people, hey, get up before the sun and go do a ski tour in the morning and, understand how to use a beacon and a probe and a shovel and get in shape and be out in the mountains and do that stuff, because someday if you're in a ditch and you've got to hike somewhere, now you've got some experience to get to that next town, right? Like if it's that bad. But there's a lot of synergies there.
Cool.
Navigation, hunting to me is survival, right? We get to choose to do it. You're going out and you're living with limited resources and you're trying to find food and sourcing water and you're taking care of yourself and so that's why we always use that lens. So it's not so fearful, but the idea is like encourage people to do these things, help them do those things, because that's like playing a game during the regular season and then the emergency is the Super Bowl. And so I would love to do more, but that's kind of, we do blogs and all that stuff, but that's really how we try to encourage people.
That's cool. That's awesome. You and I went to South Africa last year together. Incredible trip.
It was.
Tell us your thoughts on that trip and what were the highlights for you?
I'll first say that Tolly's is just world class.
Yeah.
What a great group of people. What a beautiful spot.
Had you been to South Africa?
I had done some other safaris with some other groups twice before.
In the same region, or were you?
Yeah, one was in the same region. One was a little further north.
Okay.
And no discredit to those guys, really nice too.
Yeah.
This was more family oriented, more, a lot of faith in it. I liked the interactions with the local community and going out and doing that kind of stuff. And those guys they're animals. Like, I like to think of myself as like somebody that gets after it. But I remember Paul was sick and still up at 4 a.m. lifting weights, and then the trucks were clean and we'd go out and go hunting. Those guys are...
Were you with him when he carried, was it a wildebeest or something that he had over his shoulders?
So that was a funny story. I can't remember. I think Isaac Elliman wanted to shoot. I think it was him. I think he was with our group. He had gotten out to go stalk, I think, a wildebeest we saw on a hillside.
Okay.
and it was me and Beto and another person, and they were like, keep driving, drive up the hill, get the spotting scope out, and like guide us if you can. Because the animals watch the vehicles, right? So they jumped out quietly. I drove up, it's pretty steep mountain roads, the up and down, and got up to the kind of this point where I could see. I stopped, I got out. I'm like being a good soldier. I get up the spotting scope. I'm setting it up, and I hear crashing behind me. Just like, I don't know how to explain it except like something's coming our way very fast, right? Out of control. And I turn around and I just see a wildebeest like yeet itself off, like, this road's cut into the side of a mountain, right? So it came over the top towards us, took 2 steps on the road and just launched itself off into the abyss.
No way.
And I was like, I'm just standing there like, I didn't have my bow by me. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going, like what was making it do that, right? Is there something more dangerous coming?
Beto, right? He was the more dangerous thing
coming. And over the hill comes Beto with his bow, and he looks, he goes, "Did you guys see it?" And I'm like, how? I was still getting my tripod set up, and he like went over the hill and shot this wildebeest. It just was randomly standing there.
That just seems to be his way of doing things,
Dude,
right?
Animals love to die in his presence. It's pretty funny. But it went down this deep hill, and we went down and cut it up, and then Paul just put half of it on his shoulders and walked it up to the truck, and I'm like, okay, there's a different level. There's a different level to this game. I need to do more squats, but funny. Paul's an animal.
He is an animal. Yeah, I couldn't believe when I saw that video. I was like, what is that on? He's given something good. He's got something on his shoulders, like a piggyback ride. But
it was basically like if you cut a wildebeest in half, he had the back half on his shoulders. He had the legs like he was given a piggyback ride. Right. The tail was hanging down his back and just carried it up the hill.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, that's nuts. Okay, so that's funny. I didn't know that was Beto that had shot that, and
I just don't know how he's so quick. Like he didn't say anything. He just went over the hill. There was one standing there, shot it. Like I said, like I just said, I was still like getting the spotting scope set up. Like it happened so fast, I couldn't get my head around it.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
How long have you and Beto known each other?
Oh, probably 4 or 5 years, something like that. Yeah.
And Beto is the owner of Half Face Blades.
Andrew Beto. Yeah. Yep. Become a really good friend of mine, and we've had a lot of. So from that hunt, we went to New Zealand for 10 days.
Yeah, I remember you guys had quite the adventure.
Christian Arms and PSE and Silencer Co. sent us on a wild goose chase down there.
How'd that go?
It was really fun. My goal with that was to do something really hard.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go up in the mountains and kind of self-guide and be in a zone and just like I wanted to grind.
Was that for tar and stag or just
tar and stag?
Both?
And we got there and things always happen, right? Weather was bad, helicopter was busy, and we ended up just kind of hunting. We stayed at a house, which was nice, and then we'd go out super early every morning and hunt these. I mean, it was steep hills. We were working hard, but it's not the same as like living in a tent in the mountains. But it was. New Zealand's really, I don't know how many people on this podcast understand New Zealand, but a big part of their economy is velvet, deer antler velvet. And that's why you get these crazy, so like they call it a royal stag would be like a one that's out in the wild, and it looks more like an elk. It's symmetrical, there's a crown on the top with a bunch of points, but it looks more natural. Yeah. Those freaks come from breeding and breeding programs, because the more velvet you get per elk or per stag, the more money you make, right? And we were hunting in an area that was wild. It was not high fence. It was just wild land. But some of these stags get out sometimes. Yeah. So you get some cross-pollination of genetics, and you get kind of freaky ones that are still wild ones. I ended up harvesting 2. One was really, like, the guys loved it, the guides, because it was just such a, like what you'd expect in the wild, right? Yeah. Just perfectly symmetrical.
That's cool.
And then, Beto got one that looked like it got out. Okay. Actually, we shot 2, which we don't really tell in the video, but on one of the first days, we found this huge stag up on a hill laying by himself, and it was like a 400-yard shot. It was frankly too expensive for me. Beto said he'd do it. Shot it, dropped it right there. It was just laying in its bed, tipped over. We got up. It had 3 other bullet holes in it. It was covered in flies and maggots. And whoever had hunted that area before must have shot it and couldn't find it. And so we had to turn that one in.
Gotcha.
So we shot it, took some pictures, handed it back over, and somebody else had to foot the bill on that guy.
Wow.
But then we had another one that Beto and I got on. There was a pretty big one. He was old. He had no teeth. He was super skinny, huge rack that he was able to harvest, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So we had a lot of fun. The tar were fun too. I mean, they're way.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you go up high into the cliffs for the tar? Or
yeah, and I made a. I mean, it was like getting down to the wire, and there was a big bull, and I think it was like a 92-yard shot with a pretty good gust of wind across kind of a drainage, and got an arrow in him, and then caught up with him later.
Wow.
But
what island were you guys on?
We were like Christchurch, so South Island.
Okay,
yeah. What had happened is in Africa. This is storytelling time. Hope this is okay.
That's great. Love it.
Beto wanted to shoot a big sable.
Sable. Yeah, I remember.
So I was with him. He made an incredible shot right in the spot, but the arrow seemed to go between the rib cage and the front shoulder. It like must have ricocheted up and in, and it didn't kill that thing. And so it took off. It was bleeding all over, and we chased it. I mean, on foot, just sprinting, running. And I remember we caught up with it. I took off, and Paul's dog is chasing it. And then Paul's chasing his dog, and Beto's chasing him, and I'm chasing Beto, and we're all running through these fields trying to catch up to this thing. And all of a sudden, Paul comes running back past us. And he's like, I'm like, where are you going? He's like, it's going to kill my dog. I have to get the truck. Because I guess these sables will turn and fight a dog.
Wow.
And these are little terriers, right? And so we keep running. Paul comes up behind us. Get in. And he's freaking out about his dog. Beto jumps in first, and this is one of those, what are they, Land Cruisers?
Yeah.
With like the seats in the back, the safari seats. Beto climbs in first, and I've got 1 foot in the pickup bed, 1 foot on the tire, and Paul guns it.
Takes off.
And I fell headfirst into the seat. We were both holding our bows, right? So headfirst into my seat, holding the bow, and those roads have those like rollers for erosion, right? So it's bouncing, and Beto just goes, look out. And I'm still trying to just get my hands underneath me. And
Paul's a crazy driver.
He like supercrossed off this thing, right? Like I'm pretty sure all 4 tires in the air, just
it doesn't surprise me at all.
It compresses, right? And then I just remember looking down. I was probably 5 feet above the seat floating.
Oh my gosh.
Bow in my hand, Beto too, slam back into that thing, those metal bars, bam. And I thought we had broken bones. Like we were both like really, really hurting. We were okay. A lot of bruising, some bad cuts. We were fine. Anyway, ended up getting that sable. But the next day we went out and we found a bush buck coming along, like a huge bush buck. And we were with what's Paul's youngest brother?
Willem.
No, it wasn't Willem. It was maybe the cousin then.
Cuzzy. He's also Paul, but Cuzzy.
I can't remember who we were with.
There's Peter, Willem, Cuzzy.
Maybe it was Peter.
Peter's the second brother.
Oh, no. So Willem. Yeah.
Willem.
That's right. So we were out with him.
Yeah.
This bushbuck comes along and I go to draw and Beto's like, hey man. He's like, paper, rock, scissors. I'm like, oh, okay. So we play paper, rock, scissors. He wins. I'm like, crap.
Of course. His luck.
Yeah. Beto draws back. I'm talking like, I think it was like 30 or 40 yards. Thing doesn't see us. Just standing there. Beto shoots and it goes like just soaring off into space. And I'm like, you idiot. I draw back. I shoot straight into the ground. Now the thing hears us, runs off. We're like, what the heck? We go back. Our bows are...
From bouncing around in the truck?
My cam literally had a bend to it, like probably a 1/4 of an inch bend. And I still had to go to New Zealand. So where this all ties back, I have this crazy video of shooting that tar at 93 yards. And I shoot, and that arrow is like completely sideways going through the air and then sideways the other way.
No way.
It would still hit the target, like I got it reset up. I had to move my sight tape. I had to do all this stuff. I still killed like 3 or 4 more animals, but that arrow flight was ugly. So anyway, it was a pretty fun trip, overcoming some things. Yeah. We had a good time. We shot a couple things with a rifle too, but long story short, if you've never been down there, go. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think we've been to Tully's 4 or 5 times. One time the entire family, and then I've just gone back with multiple groups. I've done New Zealand once and would love to go back again. I'm looking for like a super challenging hunt that I can prep for physically and everything, and just get back in there, do it yourself, non-guided. I don't know. It'll more than likely be some type of elk hunt, but I was thinking maybe even maybe even tar in New Zealand just on my own with a bow.
They have elk in New Zealand too. I mean, the tar is a hard one though.
It's
for
hard.
Sure.
Like I've shot one with a rifle, but it was one of the more treacherous hunts I've done. But I've always wanted to go back with my bow and see what I could do, And we got dropped by helicopter off for a few days, and we found one of those. There was a tent, but we found one of those little shacks.
That you can just government puts out there.
In.
Yeah, so cool.
And it was awesome. So
I mean, we were hunting where they filmed Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about visuals, I mean, that's incredible, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got dropped at the bottom of like Mount Cook, the tallest peak there. I don't know where the Lord of the Rings was all filmed.
I think it was around there.
In that area.
Not an expert.
I mean, it felt like that kind of, terrain.
Mordor.
Yeah, it was crazy. What's as far as hunting goes, what's your favorite thing to hunt?
I mean, if I had one day left on Earth, like put me in the aspen stands of Utah during the rut with a bow, with fur elk.
Yep.
I don't know. I've done a lot of hunting and I love it all, but I don't understand dudes who would rather mule deer hunt than elk hunt.
I'm the same.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like,
okay,
maybe it's too easy for you. It's not too easy for me, but how about a monster screaming in the woods and trying to pinpoint them and play man, I literally think it's life changing. Yeah. Like I tell friends that don't hunt that, I'm like, if you do this once, you'll understand.
Yeah. I'm with you. I have the same exact answer as you. So, Utah, has that been a good place for you to hunt elk, or do you hunt elk?
Yeah, I've never drawn a tag in my life.
Okay.
I put in every year, never draw. I've been OTC every year I lived here. It took me, when I grew up, it was like climb up grandpa's deer stand, hopefully something walks by, shoot with the 30-06, freezing, didn't have an iPhone back then. Yeah. I didn't love hunting actually. Yeah. Thanksgiving, I had to go drive cornfields and hope I didn't get shot, and deer would run out. So it wasn't until really I got out here that I started getting back into it more. And it took me 4 years to get my first elk. Like 4 years of grinding and trying to figure it out. And I've gotten one or two every year up until last year. I was like, I'm going after a big one. And long story. I found him. I spent 5 or 6 days around him. It was really thick stuff. Got an arrow in him, but it deflected and it was high shoulder, and I found him fine 5 days later. Yeah. So, but it's always OTC. I've got a few spots that I go. I do love the grind of it. Yeah. And I'm okay if I don't get one. I know it's hard. I know the odds are against you. I take a lot of pride in getting one, but, I like elk hunting anywhere, but that's a sweet spot for me.
That's cool.
I think about that all year.
That's awesome. So you earlier before we got started, we were talking about your dog because your dog passed away.
Yeah.
You shared a little story about Beto and friendships, and I maybe if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that, and then what connection and friendship and all that's meant for you in business and in life, and.
I think I'm a person that over the years my circle has become pretty small. Yeah. I think the world, if you're not careful, will train you to be a shallow individual and not create depth. And so I really try to seek out, depth with people and invest in those relationships. Yeah. I've unfriended people that I used to hang out with all the time because I just realized this wasn't who I want to be. Yeah. Not doing what I want to be doing. Doesn't feel like a friend should feel. And so when you find those people, I think it's really special. I've got a handful of guys, my buddy Jason, Brent Phillips, who's at Softly. It's become a great friend of mine. And Beto, being one of them too. Back to the dog story. We spent a lot of time together, and Beto, we're older guys, we're single. I remember one time, he's a former Navy SEAL, all tattooed up, long hair. I'm not that guy. I said something to him once. I was like, man, it's crazy we're friends considering how different we are. And he looked at me, he's like, we're not that different, buddy. Because he's got his dog Crow. I had my dog Baron. Like, we're about the same age. We're kind of, have businesses. We go through a lot of the same things. Yeah. And so, when you hang out, you're around the dogs and when Baron, so my dog was 8 years old, which is getting up there, but still relatively young.
Yeah.
These big dogs get GVD, which is a twisted stomach.
Mm.
And I was just sitting on a couch with my laptop open on a Sunday night with football on, and my dog was sleeping on the couch next to me for a few hours, and he just sat up and dry heaved and nothing came out. I took him outside. He drank water, dry heaved again, nothing came out. I put it into ChatGPT, and it's like, it sounds like a twisted stomach. Raced him to Salt Lake. He was in surgery within an hour, like got him there in time, came through just fine, brought him home. But then it's like, it just seemed like he was not, it just seemed like he wasn't going the right direction.
Right, yeah.
Took him back down to a different hospital. He died like a day and a half later. And it just so fast. And I can talk about it now without crying. I probably couldn't if we did this a couple months ago, but, when you're single and you're building a business and you're living alone, like your dog is really important.
Yeah.
And so it was a big loss for me. It was hard. I mean, it was really quiet, and he was the mascot for the company. Yeah. Anybody that's been by our booth had seen him, and he was such a good dog, and he's just gone. And so
hard.
So yeah, that was hard. And I thought it'd take me a while to get over it. And a month or so went by. He was kind of a famous dog because he'd had a lot of predicaments, like that guy skiing into him. He got lost due to some fireworks one time, and he just made the news all the time.
Really?
It was almost embarrassing for me.
It's a headliner dog. Huh?
Yeah, but like a lot of people knew of him, and so a lot of people were like trying to find me a new puppy that I didn't know. And
did you have him from when he was a puppy?
Yeah, I got him when he was like 9 weeks old.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, this lady calls out of the blue, and she's like, a friend of mine's a breeder. She's got a great dog that a couple things happened. He needs a home. He's ready to go. And I call this lady, hey, tell me about your dog. And she's like, long story short, I'm driving to New Mexico tomorrow to deliver another dog, so I'd be half the distance to you. So in about 6 hours, I had to make a decision on this dog. And I talked to my mom, my mom does search and rescue training, and sent her the videos. What do you think of this dog? She just has spent her life doing that. And I talked to Beto about it. I was like, I think I'm going to get this dog. What do you think, man? He's like, do it. You should do it. And he's like, where's it from? And I was just telling him stuff as a friend. The next day I drove down, went to pay for the dog, and the lady's like, don't worry, it's been taken care of. And so he had somehow figured out who the breeder was and paid for the dog.
He's a Navy SEAL. He can he can figure it all out, right?
Yeah, but like you talk about like a good friend. I mean, that's above and beyond. I didn't expect that at all. And those are the kind of friends you want.
Such a blessing.
Yeah. So it's cool.
How have those types of friendships and connections helped you through business, good times, bad times, just through life? And
yeah, I think misery loves company. Yeah. I think anybody building a business, you and I could probably have a lot of similarities from the word go, talking about business, right? And just overcoming all sorts of obstacles. So having somebody that you know is a smart person that works hard as well, dealing with the same things, probably builds some confidence that, hey, this is just part of the process and it's not something you screwed up on. My friend Jason up in Park City has done a lot of work in this, he's been an investor, he's exited companies, he does a lot in that space. And, every trail run we go on is like a strategy meeting. Yeah. But it's also like, it's just so helpful to be able to talk through things instead of going home and like looking at your computer screen again and trying to figure out if you're thinking about something right. So that's helpful. That's really helpful. And it's great to have people that just believe in you, that support what you're doing. It gives you some confidence, because I think when you're starting anything, you wonder if anybody cares, right? Yeah, there's those moments where you're like, man, I'm giving all of my life to this, and like, is anybody listening? And those moments are really nice when you know people are.
That's awesome.
I think
that's awesome. I look at friendships like that as just such a blessing from God, and I feel like God puts people on your path throughout your journey that will help lift you, that you can help lift. Hopefully it's always a reciprocal relationship where it's, two-sided, and you're each finding places and ways to help each other.
Well, that's important for me too, is like, man, when friends really show up for you, it makes me want to be a better friend too, which I like. I like being pushed to like, hey man, you need to be more thoughtful and do more, and look what that person did for you. Like, it makes everybody better.
Yeah, no, I like hearing that story about Beto doing the dog. It makes me want to see more often like what people might be going through and what they might need. And it's not like you couldn't just go buy that dog, but he stepped in a moment where this is an important decision, and you just had a passing of the last dog. It's like he could do something to just show his commitment to your friendship and his caring for you in your life, and it makes me want to see those opportunities more often and take advantage of them.
Same.
That's really cool. What about has God played a role in your life at all of building and?
Yeah, I mean, big time. I grew up in a very Christian household, and I think one of the weird things is I think for people that didn't do that, they have this watershed moment where all of a sudden their life changes and they've had a big change, and I've never really felt that moment, but it's just been always a part of my life, and in hard times or in difficult times, like it's showed up in ways that are really powerful to me. And I remember we did a video at Tolly's talking about stuff. And I said, I always think about the quote that like, you might be the only church somebody gets. Right. And I think that I try to live by that a lot, because there are people that it's like me going to a yoga class. Like it's pretty uncomfortable just walking in on your own and signing up. But if you've got a friend that pretty flexible and seems really healthy, and they say, hey man, yoga, it's like, okay, I'll come with you. Right. So I think that's like how I'm not a soapbox guy out on the street corner, but I try to surround myself with people that feel the same way. And I try to be an example and maybe somebody that would warrant somebody asking more questions. And I think that's really important. Back to when I was playing in the band, probably the most powerful moment I ever had was we did a lot of work with a group called Cure Duchenne for several years. Duchenne muscular dystrophy it attacks only boys. And when we started, it was like the saying was, when their friends are graduating high school, they're dying. So when you tear a muscle, like if you're lifting weights, you and I rebuild. They don't. They slowly deteriorate into a wheelchair until their heart stops.
Wow, dang.
And we met this family from Orange County, California, that asked us just to randomly play a fundraiser in Minnesota, because the husband had Minnesota ties, and I've become really good friends with them over the years, obviously. But we showed up to just play a gig, and then they said, hey, will you write a song for our foundation? We like you guys. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'm like in my late 20s. I get home the next day and start thinking about the gravity and the weight of what that couple was trying to do. They had a son who had a terminal disease that there wasn't a cure because pharmaceutical companies couldn't make enough money in finding a cure. And they're trying to save their only son. It's like, okay, how am I supposed to write this?
Wow.
And I tried for days and days and days. And I remember one day, I put the pencil down. I can still see it. I got on my motorcycle. I was living in Menominee, Wisconsin, and I was going to drive to the gym and work out and think about it. And I got on the motorcycle and I went down my street, and I was like, oh, that's a good line. That's a good line. And I remember I got to the highway and I turned around and went back to my house, and I picked up the pencil and I wrote the whole song down.
Wow.
And then I picked up a guitar and I just sang it. I sang it like I was singing Sweet Home Alabama. Like I had heard it before.
Wow.
And that was like, that was not me,
That's awesome.
And so you have a couple of moments like that in your life, and it doesn't take much to make you believe there's a higher power. Because I believe we were doing something really good there. It was a very faith-based song.
That's awesome.
The song is called Chance for a Lifetime. And then for several years, I would fly around to fundraisers and play that song before they asked people to donate money. And it raised millions of dollars for them, because it just hit home.
That's amazing.
And I swear I didn't write it. Like I watched it come out of my hand, which is pretty wild.
Powerful experience. Yeah, I love that. And I love your recognition that this was, God just utilized you as the instrument to.
I mean, dude, we did 3 albums. I know how hard it was to write a song. So I know that wasn't me. Wow. I couldn't write fast enough.
What was really the family's response to that?
I had a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of holy cow. Like how did a 20-some-year-old emote all this? Chance for a Lifetime.
Chance for a Lifetime. Is that out there? We can go find it.
Yeah, you can go find it. There's a couple different versions out there. There's like an acoustic version and then like one with a big band. And even when we went to record the album, nobody'd heard it. And I was like, oh, there's one more song I need to do. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like insecure about it. And I played it for my producer and all the guys, and he's like, yeah, perfect. He's like, we'll put some strings on it and do this. And like, he didn't. for a guy that had immense amounts of feedback all the time on my songwriting, he was like, perfect.
That's
I was
awesome.
just like, this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just needed to be.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
That's cool.
I was just a vessel, you know?
I love your recognition of that. That's amazing. Are you still playing?
On the couch once in a while. I've got a lot going on. Everybody's busy, obviously, but it's one of those things that once in a while you get some friends over, you pick up a guitar and play. But you know, I love playing, but I'm not that good. I was around a lot of freaks. You know, I'd be around the John Mayers and the Prince and those guys, and I realized early on, like, I didn't have what they had, and so we had a good run and we did some really good stuff. You know, we played all over the world, played in 35 countries. And
was there a highlight stop, like, place where you and your band went?
There were moments. So, you know, we played a sold out show at Cabo Wabo with the Gin Blossoms one time. That was kind of fun. You know, just getting flown to Mexico to play a gig and being put up. We did the national anthem a bunch of places. One was the Phoenix NASCAR race, and I think it was like 130,000 people.
Wow.
Live on ESPN. Fireworks going off behind us, jets flying over. Like Taylor Swift had done it the year before.
No way.
And, you know, Jeff Gordon's right there, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., and, you know, like those were pretty fun moments.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we had some big shows, the world's largest block party in Chicago. There was tens of thousands of people. And but then you'd come crashing back down to earth. You'd play some big gig, and then the next night you're in St. Paul, Minnesota at some crappy bar, and like 32 people show up to watch you play, and you don't have a green room, so you're just like sitting there, and it's snowing outside, and you know, like it was hard for me because it wasn't linear, and I like to build. Yeah. So it was a fun experience.
I think you last time we recorded this, you mentioned something about like with the troops, and I can only imagine like what they're going through. And you guys can bring some hope, some laughter, some fun to them in a situation that's not where people want to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of moments out there. The one that just pops into my head right now is I think it was Basra in Iraq. The Minnesota National Guard was there. Our band was from Minnesota, so these guys knew of us because we were well known in that time in that area. And it was like Memorial Day. But 2 days or 3 days before we showed up, some IEDs had flown in and killed a handful of dudes at that base. And so this is a Memorial Day service where they're honoring their friends who were just there a week ago. Wow. And we're supposed to show up and like, you know, put a concert on afterwards. Like this is going to be horrible. What are we going to do? Nobody's going to be happy. Everybody's going to be sad. And I sat there with my band around like the dinner table before the gig, and I was like, guys, we have to think of something here to break the ice. And what we ended up doing was, you know, we always played a lot of covers over there because this isn't about, hey, listen to me play my music. It's about like, what can we do to let you have a good time?
Lighten the mood.
Anybody that could play guitar could come up. Anybody that wanted to sing could come up. Like we just let people, we'd get the highest ranking officer up, make him play the tambourine, you know, or the cowbell. Like we just do whatever we could to like break the ice. Cause at the end of the day, it's 5 dudes singing for like a couple hundred sober dudes. It's weird, right? So we got up there and we started with like a Led Zeppelin song, Whole Lotta Love. And I'm like, we're not going to play another song till everybody stage dives. And so one by one, people came up and jumped into the crowd to their buddies. That's and awesome. People were catching each other and high-fiving. And it was so cool. You know, it was just like powerful. It broke the ice. It was like a lot of love in the air. A lot of like, I remember we ended it with playing like Pink Houses by John Mellencamp, you know, Ain't That America, right? Awesome. And like whoever wanted to come up just came up and singing into the mics. And I think half the crowd was on stage at the end of the night. So cool. And it felt like we were using the little bit of talent we had to do something good, you know, and it was really cool. So there's a lot of moments like that.
That's life, right? Isn't that what we should be doing, is taking the little bit of talent that we have and trying to do some good with it?
For sure.
It seems like you're doing that in a big way. As much as it's difficult, and you said that the struggle is apathy with people.
Yeah.
You know, just the preparation you're giving them, the opportunity to prepare, and to feel confidence, to feel hope, to feel like we should all hopefully be living in a way that gives us some confidence in our future, some hope for our future. But there's some tools, there's some products, there's some people, friends, whatever it may be, that can add to that and allow us to really face the future with the brightness of hope, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you're doing.
If you watch the news, you can get pretty down on
Yeah.
the world out there. And then I go outside and I go for a trail run with my dog and, see a bunch of elk move through and a moose and pet my dog and the sun's setting and it's purple over the mountains. And it's like,
wow.
You kind of you get to pay attention to what you want to.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much opportunity for people just to be happier and to be more prepared. I mean, like, look, I wanted to build a business, but I wanted to do something that left a positive legacy. And I think this is a good way to do it. So I'm just trying to do my part and hopefully it all works out.
It's really cool. When all is said and done in life, I think I asked you this question last time. I don't know if you remember how I ended it.
No, I don't remember.
I wish I could find the file and see if your answer then and the answer now is the same, but I like to spring this on people. But how will you measure your life when all is said and done?
Man, I don't know. I probably would say I've said the same thing before, but I remember this is again a long story, but I remember the day Michael Jackson died. Probably the most famous human to walk the earth outside of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't care where you were in like the Middle East, play a Michael Jackson song, they knew every word. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And he died, and like the next day life went on, everything was normal. And it makes you go, geez, I'm nowhere near that. And so what matters, what doesn't? And it's, I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you can build something that lasts longer than you do or does more than an individual can do, I think that's really powerful, right? Like my goal is like, if we could start something here that saves a lot of lives and does that, and 100 years after I'm gone, maybe the company's still around, it's creating stuff that's helping people navigate the worst situations in their life. Like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
From a business side. From a human side, I just want people to remember me as like an honest, good friend that showed up for people.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. You're doing it. I appreciate the example. Appreciate you coming back here for a second time. Maybe we'll do a third time, but not the same podcast, just to follow up on things, because this one will go live. We'll air. Confident in that. So
good deal.
Thanks
for having me.
Appreciate you. Let's go have a great week at the Hunt Expo.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, brother.
You bet.